was the first time you can remember being told a story? Chances are it was while listening to your parent or another adult read to you before your bedtime. Like many others, this is the way most people have their first encounters with legends and fairy tales. While most tales targeted towards children are cute and lighthearted, intended to excite their young imaginations, every so often we come across one that, while on the surface sounds innocent, hides something very sinister. My dear villagers, welcome back. If you're new, hi, I'm Kristen, aka Christo, and I make videos on all things mysterious, disturbing, or fascinating. If that's up your alley, consider subscribing. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Crooked Man, a once innocent nursery rhyme turned horrific urban legend. Before we get started though, I need to issue a content warning and a disclaimer. The main tactic of this urban legend's creature is psychological warfare intended to cause death. So I will make reference to, Kermit sliding in those sewers, sewer sliding, committing not alive. You get the point. Additionally, the way this urban legend is presented is meant to scare and put you on edge. If you're kinda paranoid, you might start shitting concrete bricks. Maybe don't watch. Or do. Either way, don't say I didn't warn you. Let's get into it. The Crooked Man is said to be a malevolent and vengeful spirit who likes to target people experiencing mental distress. It does anything to drive its victims into madness and eventually into taking their own lives. Now, the tale of the Crooked Man wasn't always so sinister. Originating in the 1800s, the Crooked Man was first referenced in the English nursery rhyme There Was a Crooked Man, written by James Orchard Halliwell. The original rhyme featured only 4 lines, and it goes like this. There was a crooked man, and he walked a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence against a crooked stile. He bought a crooked cat, which caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a little crooked house. Like I mentioned, these were the original lines written by Halliwell, but in the last decade, someone decided to alter it by adding the following ominous lines. Take note that reciting the lines out loud will supposedly invoke the curse of the Crooked Man, and he will haunt you. But more on that later. Okay, before I read these lines, I'm going outside. Let's say on the off chance I do summon something. I don't want it going near my mother. Alright, I'm at the closest Catholic elementary school. Let's begin. Everything is worthless. He heaved a great big sigh, and so he went and found a rope, then tied it to the sky. Upon a chair he stood, his eyes were blank and dead. Without another thought, he went and hung his head. Now the story's not yet over, for this tale is mythed and old. Go hide under the covers, there's something not yet told. There once was a crooked man who had a crooked smile, and if you've lived his life, he'll send you through a trial. He lives for your torment, makes it full of strife, and he won't be content until you take your life. The person who added these lines clearly had the purest of intentions. You know what? Let me just take a swig of my holy water because goddamn, no pun intended. The basis of this poem lies in the English Stuart history of King Charles I. Stuart was a dynasty period which took place from 1603 to 1714 and was well known for its intense political instability, also the Black Plague, and the witch hunts, and masturbation. Yeah, not a fun time. The Crooked Man from the original verses is said to represent Scottish General Sir Alexander Leslie. He was instrumental in securing both political and religious freedoms for Scotland by getting English parliamentarians to sign a covenant. Of course, calling someone crooked is never a positive thing, so one can only guess what his moral compass looked like. He is probably as good as Jack Sparrow's compass is at pointing north, which is not good. The crooked style in the poem refers to the border between England and Scotland. They all lived together in a little crooked house, refers to the signed covenant and the fact that after all the war and bloodshed, the English and Scots finally came to an agreement. A crooked house, however, is not meant to be stable at all. Although there was an official agreement, both parties remained very hostile towards each other. The use of the word crooked is very purposeful. It's not only supposed to illustrate the character of the general, but also showcase the unreliability, the insecurity, and the precariousness of times past. Now, as the story goes, later in the 18th century, a writer was supposedly researching legends and folklore when he happened upon a disturbing discovery. Verses of text which reoccurred in several cultures and in countless languages. They all referred to the same thing. They called it the Crooked Man. With this, the urban legend's Crooked Man was born. This is where the urban legend originates from, and like I said, according to legend, by reciting the poem out loud, you will summon the demonic entity known as the Crooked Man. Once you recite the poem, everyone who dwells within the house you recited it in is destined to die. Imagine an unescapable death sentence, an unstoppable force that brings inevitable death to whoever summons it. The lines were more than likely initially used as an incantation, probably a curse or a punishment used by ancient civilizations like the Midnight Man. Similar to capital punishment, except it breaks every human right along the way. According to the legend, somehow this wretched incantation was successfully passed down through the eras. It was studied and transcribed, eventually morphing into a nursery rhyme for kids to innocently recite without knowing the dire consequences of doing so. Like Pandora's box, which sealed away all the world's evil before being opened. Once children all over the world began reciting the lines of this ancient curse, the Crooked Man who once lay dormant was unleashed upon the world. Appearance-wise, the Crooked Man resembles something straight out of the uncanny valley. He is described as a slim, tall man with no facial features except for a large mouth, and is always seen wearing a suit and tie. Personally, I'd say it's a great value Slenderman from Walmart, but whatever fits your fancy. He is most likely a demon who can access your thoughts, past, present, or future without you knowing. Unfortunately, by the time you do figure it out, it'll be too late. This entity also has the ability to shapeshift into anything or anyone. That includes the people in your memories. To further torment someone, he will also appear in their dreams, causing nightmares. He can teleport and likes to hide just well enough in the shadows that you can never really tell if he's there, or if it's simply a trick of your own mind. Now, I've spoken a lot about the paranormal creature and its many traits, but I've yet to discuss one major detail. Who is he? I'm talking about the Crooked Man from the urban legend, not from Halliwell's poem. The answer is a little anticlimactic. From my research, it appears that he was just another evil dude who was living a miserable and depressing life. He grew jealous of the people around him once he realized they weren't living as miserably as he was. Instead of trying to change, he hanged himself. But clearly, this wasn't the end of him. His resentment was so strong, his spirit lived on and became a demonic entity that preyed on anyone whose life even bared a slight resemblance to his. So, if you're miserable or depressed, according to the mythos, you make an excellent target. The Crooked Man will do anything to drive you insane, and then into taking your own life. He will use his shape-shifting abilities to make you doubt reality, descending you rapidly into madness. Like previously mentioned, he can and often will enter your dreams and attack you there. Eventually, the nightmares he induces will cause sleep deprivation, only adding to your mental instability. The Crooked Man will follow you everywhere you go. There's not a place on this earth you can hide that he won't find you. Just like your mom when she finds out you haven't eaten anything for the day. Not like I'm speaking from personal experience or anything. While giving you brief glimpses of his true form, he will always be in your peripheral vision. When you try to look directly where you last saw him, he'll have vanished. He'll do this countless times in order to cause you great anguish and paranoia. Misery loves company, and I think that this urban legend is the epitome of it. Imagine being so unjustifiably offended, so butthurt that others aren't as miserable as you, that you devote your entire afterlife to making sure that people become so miserable with their own lives that they choose to end it. Somebody get this man a therapist, he needs one ASAP. While I was searching for ways to possibly get rid of this guy after you summon him, the only real answer I could find was literally, stop being depressed and miserable! Which clearly isn't helpful, but all stories kind of have some purpose to them, no? Couldn't this be seen as threatening people into finding happiness? It does kind of make sense. I wanna die. This floor is, looking floory today. I mean, what a wonderful day. Truly magnificent. I'm so glad to be alive. I'm gonna go outside, touch some grass, get a job, go to school and get a degree, and then live happily ever after. Gonna go right now and tell my mom that I love her and that I'm so thankful that she gave birth to me. This is an urban legend, so I've already categorized it as something very unlikely to be true. But who knows? Hypothetically speaking, wouldn't he be most likely, like a poltergeist on hard drugs? So, what do you think? Would you risk unleashing a vengeful spirit? And do you think a spirit like this could be real? Either way, we'll see what happens. Will I die next week? Will I die tomorrow? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Thank you for watching. I will see you around. Ta-ta!